Welcome, everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. After the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. They'll be led by Alderman at Large George Payne.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you. We thank you for the opportunity to meet here, Lord. Lord, we thank you for your graciousness that's bestowed upon us, Lord. Lord, we pray that we would be a people that always seeks your face and not your hand all the time, Lord. Lord, we ask you to be with us today and bless our meeting and to keep your hand over the city of Southaven. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes for the May 3rd, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have some special guests in the audience with us. Y'all know that not too many weeks ago we finished our state of Mississippi finished the legislative session, and the reason we brought these people here tonight is just to reach out and let them know how much we appreciate. There was a lot of things that happened in the state of Mississippi this legislative session. The agenda was probably thicker than ever in the history of the state. Some big issues got resolved, and there were some issues specific to the city of Southaven that turned out in a positive way. And some of these people I'm going to name and recognize played a huge part in that. So I see some in the audience, so if y'all don't mind, I'm just going to be very casual and ask you to stand. I hope that doesn't put you on the spot, but I'd love for you to stand and let me say a few comments about what I know, what I witnessed throughout the session and in the past as well. And so we have Representative Jerry Darnell with us, and Representative Darnell, again, in his short time in Jackson, has gone down there and done what to some has become so difficult, but to sensible people that want to make a difference for our state and for our county, this guy has gone down there and done what needs to happen. He goes down there, he speaks in a very strong voice for the people of DeSoto County. He has a lengthy education background, which he played a pivotal role in the teacher pay raise and things like that, but everything education. But it's not just that. He didn't go there just for education. He went down there to represent the people of DeSoto County. And so everything that we've asked for his help on, he's opened his ears, and he's been a huge asset for the city of Southaven. And we're not going to wait till the end for applause. We're going to applaud you for that. We appreciate that. And then we have Representative Bill Kincaid, if he'll stand. And we're going to make him give a speech. No.
Not a problem.
But Representative Kincaid, similar to what I said about Representative Darnell, the guy has been down there a long time, much longer. And what he has done is built relationships in Jackson. And the reason that he's built relationships is because he's a sensible person. He understands business. He understands what's good for the state of Mississippi, for what's good for DeSoto County. And I know someone asked him one time, like, why are you such an advocate for Southaven? That's really not in your district. And he said, because the city of Southaven is important to DeSoto County and to our state. And so it's not just about what's fresh on his mind or what his immediate agenda is. He's a representative that represents the entire state and does what's great for the state and what's great for the county. And he's been a huge friend of the city of Southaven, specifically with the tourism tax. This is about the fourth time just during my term that I've been down there, and he's been one of the key ones that has rallied support for that and played an extremely influential role in that. So I want everyone to recognize him and to appreciate that, again, that he listens to all the needs of the state of Mississippi, DeSoto County. He's been a huge friend of Southaven, and he's done a great job for the state of Mississippi, and we appreciate you. We have Representative Jeff Hale with us, And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record too much, but what makes the two previous ones outstanding representatives are the same things that make Representative Hale an outstanding representative. And the reason is because he goes there, again, he opens his ears, he listens to what's good for the state of Mississippi, not just his agenda or the things that he's charged with on his committees. He listens to everything. He listens and takes actions and advocates for things that are great for the state of Mississippi, that are great for DeSoto County, and that are great for Southaven. Specifically with the tourism tax for Southaven, y'all know it was ridiculous, the challenges that we've had to face with some of the delegation. Tonight is not about talking about them. Tonight is talking about the ones who went to work for us. And Jeff Hale, when I tell you, when he put the the armor on, I mean, the dude put the armor on. He went to fight for us. And when we were told no on things that didn't make any sense, he didn't accept no. He went to battle even more and put himself under extreme criticism from some of the other delegation unfairly, but that didn't stop him at all. He kept battling for Southaven. So Jeff Hale has been a tremendous warrior for DeSoto County and the city of Southaven, and we thank you for that. And I don't see, is there anyone else in the audience we invited? I'm going to list all the people that we invited, and we received some other phone calls that I want to share some of the things that they said. But is there anyone else in the audience that is a legislator invited to the meeting tonight? Don't see anyone else. So we got a call back. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hoseman, played a significant role in supporting Southaven's tourism tax bill. He reached out. He couldn't make it tonight, but he wanted to let everyone know he appreciated the invitation, and we want to thank him for what he did as well. Speaker of the House, Philip Gunn, reached out to me today by phone call and text. Same thing there. He had another commitment, but appreciated the invitation to come visit with y'all. But he also took actions that benefited not only the state of Mississippi, but were great for Southaven this session. The local and private chairman in the Senate is Chad McMahon. Same thing. Had some conflicts, but anyway, his message back is that he was proud to do anything to help the city of Southaven. So we want to thank him as well. Senator Kevin Blackwell and Senator David Parker are our local Southaven senators. They both, just like I mentioned about Representative Hale, hey, they put the armor on and went to fight for us, and they did a tremendous job for us. Senator McClendon played a key role. He supported Southaven's bills, and then Representative Hester Jackson McCrae, same thing there. Whatever we've asked of her, hey, look, she's just said, how can I help you? I mean, she's gone to work for us, and she's done a great job for us in Jackson as well. But anyway, all of these people, they received an email from all of you thanking them for their help specifically on our tourism tax bill. We're going to talk about, I know y'all may not be able to stick around, but we're going to talk about our Parks Enhancement Plan that we put together. We wouldn't be talking about this tonight if it weren't for y'all. So I want to again thank you for that. But again, for all these people, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, and then we'll move next on our agenda is our Parks Enhancement Plan. As y'all know, every 4 years we've had to go back and get a bill passed to extend the tourism tax, and that's for the 1% restaurant tourism tax. These people went to work for us. We got that extended again, so we have that revenue in place now until June 30th of 2026. So with that, every time we have gone in front of this board and we've talked about our priorities after listening to citizens, listening to our board of aldermen, our parks director played a key role in obviously in his vision on what he sees for our parks program and things that we need to do to enhance that. And so with the additional revenue that we're going to have, I've put together a park plan, and we have it on the screen right here. And just to give you, I'm going to jump ahead. If y'all will move forward to the history of the tourism revenue first, I'm going to start with that. If everyone can see, you can see on your side screens and up here as well. So this goes back to 2010. The city has had a hotel 1% tax that does not have a repeal date on it. That's about 15% of the total revenue. About 85% of it is restaurants. That's where the money is. But this just gives you a breakdown of how the revenue stream has grown. Our city is obviously, we have had tremendous success economically, which shows that the restaurants have continued to thrive. So if you look at back in fiscal year 2010, the revenue was $193,000. The first year in 2012 that we had the restaurant tax, our total revenue is $697,000. And I'm not going to read it all, but you can see the trend. If you get into 2021, that's up to $2,547,000. And then we're projected in FY22, we're projected to exceed 2.8 million. So you can see the tremendous growth over the years. We have had a defined plan the entire time, even before this administration, and most of these board members, some may have been here, Alderman Payne I think was here in the past, but every time we've had a clear plan on what we're going to do with the money, and we've continued that. And so what we have tonight is another 4-year plan that's going to show you specifically what we do with the money. So we'll fast forward to the next screen. So if you do an estimation based on the trend of the last 5 years and the growth, the last 2 years, we had the COVID year, and then in 2018 we skipped a year. We lost the revenue. In 2017, got it back in 18. But this is going with a conservative increase of increasing 300,000 a year. Just in the last year, it's on pace to increase by over 450,000. We know that with inflation is taken into account with the cost of our projects. Inflation is not taken into account with the funds available. So we know that naturally with inflation there, you're going to have a higher revenue on that side too. We have purposely been very conservative with this, just to make sure that, hey, we're definitely going to have this amount of money. In the last 4-year plan, we had excess money. It generated a large percentage more than we had planned in 2018. But this has taken a $300,000 increase every year, and that's the amount of revenue that would be generated until June 30th of 2026, $14 million. So then if you look, we're upholding the commitments that we've made to our citizens. I'm not going to be a broken record and talk about this all night, but when we first got the revenue in 2012, we made the decision that we would take that and enhance the parks that were revenue producers. It's a proven fact in Southaven, baseball and softball have been a big business. I mean, it's just a fact. And so we invested in baseball and softball. Then we expanded into tennis, expanded into soccer. So we did the revenue producing sports first, all with the long-term plan of when we got these things done, then we would focus back on investing back in the communities, going back into the neighborhood parks, doing some of the other things that are not revenue producing park operations. So the number one thing on the list that we have tried to get to is neighborhood parks. So we have planned in this proposal almost $3.2 million for parks. If we'll scroll down to the itemized neighborhood parks sheet, and if you'll look at this, that amount of money is broken down like this. What we did is we did an inspection of every neighborhood park in the city of Southaven. I personally inspected every one of them. Parks director, we took notes, we analyzed situations where we could add walking trails, where we could enhance the trails, new pavilions. Playground equipment is already in our annual operating budget. We have a plan now to rotate every year and to keep all the parks up to date with playground equipment, park benches, picnic tables, things like that. So that will be handled in the operating budget. This specifically would resurface all the walking trails and add new pavilions. So on the trails, Central Park, this is adding a 10-foot multi-use trail that's not in existence now that would connect the pedestrian trail in Sweeney and Tullahoma and go through the park. Then we would also, the existing walkways or walking trails that are there would be resurfaced with 5-foot concrete trails. And same thing in Ross Point Farms, because these are two large parks. And then the other parks are smaller parks. So on all these, we would be resurfacing. It's about a 3 to 4 foot trail now of asphalt. We're going to go back with concrete that is more durable and make it a 5 foot concrete trail. And then add a new one at Plum Point Park. There's no trail at all there now. This would also add a new new trail there. Then pavilions, all of those, it's the same pavilion, and that's 9 pavilions, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, 9 pavilions that would be added as well. And so let's go back to the main screen again. Then additional tennis courts. When we built tennis, and we built 8 additional courts in 2016. The day that we cut the ribbon on that, we had already outgrown it. The attendance for tennis is incredible. We hired the first tennis director ever in the city's history in 2017. Tennis has been a huge thing. It's a lifetime sport. You know, it's something that kids and adults can play their entire life. So we've outgrown it. If we add 8 more courts on the hill in front of the maintenance shop, that's what that land was set there for and planned for. That would give us 20 total. Would give us 16 just tennis, and then we would take the old 4 courts, the original ones, and convert those to pickleball. I'm just now learning what pickleball is, but evidently pickleball is the craze of our country right now. People love pickleball. And if you took ping pong, if you don't know what it is, if you took ping pong and tennis and married them, that's what pickleball is. So it's a hot sport, but we would convert the original 4 tennis courts to pickleball. It allows you to put 8 pickleball courts there, and that would be no cost. All that is just redrawing the lines there. People love splash parks. I promised them, hey, I promise you I'll go before this board. When we get to that, we'll try to get some splash parks. You know, when you have hot days at the ballpark, the siblings, they that are not playing ball, that are out there in the heat all day with their brother and sister, watching their brother and sister play, they want a place where they can go splash around. So the plan was to put a splash park by the Field of Dreams playground at Snowden, and then also put another one on the south side of the multi-use indoor facility at Greenbrook. Dog parks, I admit I don't get this. I mean, I've owned dogs my whole life. To me, dogs like to chew things up and pee on fire hydrants. That's just, to me, that's what they like to do. But evidently, I'm uneducated a little bit about this. People love dog parks, so we're going to get we need to get some dog parks in Southaven. So this would be a dog park that would be placed in the Pecan Grove area at Snowden. A lot of people already use that area for a dog park. So we would just be adding some simple fencing and some, obstacle course type stuff, toys for the dogs to play on. Obviously, you'd separate the big dogs and the little dogs. Central Park, add another one there as well. Arena parking expansion, everyone knows about the, for whatever reason, volleyball was an easy decision in my mind back when we made that decision, and it's proven to be a tremendous thing for our city. Volleyball's busting at the seams. We need more parking. We can't even house the number of teams that are there now at the arena, so we need to add parking expansion there. When you have a proven asset for your city, Snowden Grove Park has been a proven asset for the city of Southaven. Doesn't matter what street you live on, where you live on the city, Snowden Grove Park helps you. Snowden Grove Park helps pave your street. It helps put new police officers in your neighborhood. Everybody in the city of Southaven benefits from Snowden Grove Park, but you got to take care of your baby. And it's been 20 years since we've done anything with the roofs there. The roofs are faded and leaking. We need to do an investment with maintenance at Snowden on the roofs. The lighting at Snowden Grove, same thing. It's 22 years old now. We're starting to have light failures there. The new LED lighting enhances the experience for players, and since the lighting is going to need to be replaced, we definitely want to go back with LED lighting. That's in our parks director, and in my mind, that's a priority. And then again, back to maintenance, Snowden Grove and Greenbrook. That's what drives our parks program. Those 2 parks, their parking lots are old, need to be resurfaced, and that totals $14 million. If you look in the next blue box, the long-term plan, these are things that we've all talked about in the past. These are things that we see as we manage the day-to-day operations for the city. We see that we can further enhance our city in the future. We don't have the money for this at this point, but anyway, it's the long-term plan. If the revenue is higher than $14 million, we can go down the list and move some of these up there. And I'm not going to go through all those. Y'all can look and see. Or do y'all want to go through all? Do y'all want to talk about all those?
No.
We can scan them real quick. Indoor training at the Bank Plus Sports Center. It was built in an old way that had the old pitching machines with the electronic arm, and then half of it are cages where people can get in, teams can take batting practice or pitching practice. The modern thing now is like we have at Greenbrook, where you can raise the nets. You can put electricity on the floor and plug in a pitching machine if you don't have a coach or player that's throwing batting practice. So it's more versatile. So the plan would be to knock the wall down and take out the old mechanical arms and put in the new machines and more cages. It allows more teams to use the facility. Black vinyl fencing, adds the backstop is different. It's easier to view the game if you change the backstops. And then also you would have what it says, black vinyl fencing, which is more durable and looks better at Snowden and Greenbrook. LED lighting at Greenbrook, we're not having problems at Greenbrook yet, but eventually you'd replace that with LED lighting. Indoor tennis, eventually if you bring an indoor tennis facility, you would put it where the current pro shop is now, and you would take that building down, rebuild a new one with 4 indoor courts and a new pro shop there. Indoor multi-use facility, eventually you could do something there, long range, and either possibly expand volleyball there, maybe even add basketball, but you're talking about a large amount of money. New 60-90 baseball quad, that would add 4 regulation sized baseball fields. When we changed our contract to Perfect Game, y'all know that Perfect Game is not through age 14, it goes to age 18. So there's a great market for bringing what I call the big boy tournaments to Snowden. We're already doing that with Perfect Game now, but if you had another quad, you would make it a bigger and a better tournament there. Adult softball, the sad thing about Cherry Valley Park is Cherry Valley Park has a tremendous history, both with baseball and football. In past years, it was built by dads, by volunteer parents back in the late 60s, and there were tremendous baseball played there. When you talk about competitive baseball, it was not U-Trip, it was not Perfect Game, it was a league. Teams played for the pennant every year, but there's so much tremendous history of baseball at Cherry Valley Park. Many great baseball players played at Cherry Valley Park. Since we did the conversion in about, I think it was in the year 2000, and made it all football, the football program has slowly died there, and the reason is there's many factors that contribute to that. A lot of kids play fall baseball now, a lot of kids play soccer. We didn't have that back then. And then the concussion scare, which has been extremely hyped, by the way, but the concussion scare has scared a lot of parents from letting their kids play football. So our football league has gone from a tremendous league to a very weak league at this point. So the plan is eventually, what do you do at Cherry Valley? Maybe convert it to adult softball somewhere down the line. Last thing on there, big ticket item, Performing Arts Center. We need to enhance the arts in Southaven. I'm all for doing that. There's a lot of challenges that come with that. Obviously, there's a large price tag on building a facility like that, but that's just something, in my opinion, I put it on there to keep the discussion going, but in my opinion, that's going to be something that would have to be funded with a different mechanism. The tourism is not going to generate enough revenue to do the Performing Arts Center alone. So anyway, that's the proposal. We have the money to do that, and then like we did in 2018, the goal would be to secure financing and take advantage of the time value of money. Go ahead and get started on all these projects at one time, and so there you go. There's your plan. Open the floor for discussion.
I know, Mayor, I know you mentioned maintenance of the playground equipment would be done through the normal operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see in Guthrie Park the addition of some playground equipment.
Which part?
Guthrie.
Guthrie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can
there's
do.
none there now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, one thing we already talked about with our Parks Director, West Brown, we talked about not just going with, like at Central Park, we went with a system that's already put together, it's got all the stuff connected. And that's nice, it's super nice, but it's super expensive.
Sure.
So what we think we may start doing, we could do it at Guthrie and all the parks, is go back to the traditional way of individually putting like a swing set there.
Sure,
You
yeah.
know, monkey bars or whatever, and just do it individually like that. So no, in our operating budget, we could do Guthrie Park. That's just a matter of you setting the priorities on which one you want to do first.
Have you guys created a list of what y'all have planned so far with those parks and what you're going to do with the different parks yet? Have y'all came up with a list of?
Yeah, that was the first list. That we,
No, I mean of the individual neighborhood parks, what you're going to do with the maintenance budgets and like replacing swing sets and stuff like that. Have y'all made that list yet?
No, there's not a reason for it. That's something that changes by the day. So no, what we would do anytime, and our parks crew already knows when they're out there doing maintenance on it that they're to eyeball the equipment. If they see a broken swing or see something broken or whatever, they would bring that to our attention, and we would get those replaced. So that should be a day-to-day operating annual, just a day-to-day thing.
We had on our this list a few years back a track at Central Park, and I would like to see that happen. That's something the kids don't have anywhere to go practice to get better. I mean, we got baseball, we got softball, we got volleyball, we got soccer, we got tennis. There's no track and field. There's no place for them to get better. You can't go to the schools. There's one in Olive Branch, but I'd like something here in Southaven for our kids instead of having to go to another city to go.
Yeah, we had that on there, and that's why we're talking about it. I mean, our goal is to, to have a plan that we all get behind and feel good about. The thought process with that, and by the way, we didn't pull this out of our hip pocket. We spent a lot of time on this. The thought process is that if you put a track and field, that would obviously be geared towards the athletes, that run track, or I mean, it could dual as a walking trail for for general exercise purposes too. But we felt like it was better use of the money to do the walking trail alone through Central is 1.6 million. So half of that total is on the walking trail, the multi-use trail that goes through Central Park. And we felt like it would add more value because it connects the Tullahoma Trail that's already in place and gives a longer way for runners and walkers, and it would be something that more people would use. The other thing, when you get into Central Park, you have to be conscious of the fact that of the homes that are nearby. Then when you add if you built the track and field, you'd want to have lights on it. Then you would, you have the lights in the backyards of some of the people. And then the other thing, I'm not going to shy away from being straightforward and candid. When the sun goes down, bad things happen. And we want to be careful that that we don't create an area that's a place to loiter and hang out, because that does create some problems. So if we're gonna shut our parks down at night, that could be an issue. I guess you could do it without lights and let it be a daytime.
At least start with one without lights and see what it turns into. You can always put them in later.
And then you do add too, not that we can't do that, we can certainly do it, but you obviously have a whole lot more maintenance. If you're gonna have a track and field, you'd have a whole lot more maintenance. So I guess it just comes down to we'd have to decide as a group, would there be enough interest in that? Would enough people use it? Because the high schools already have all that.
But
So
you can't use those.
Huh?
You can't use those unless you're during the season. It's not like
You can't use the track? So anyway, that's,
people do it, but you're not supposed to. They lock that whole facility up or something.
and so we can put that back on. My recommendation is that I still view those as a higher priority than that, but I love the idea. I love the track and field idea. So we could do that. The price tag on that, the last estimate was about 1.8 million. So to have one single field in the middle with a track, like a track and field meet around it. Wes, would you come talk a little bit about that? So if we were going to do that, when we initially talked about it, we were talking about doing it at Central Park. I know that we have some area with practice fields and things like that.
Yeah, if you're coming in Central Park from Tullahoma, it's that if you go to Southern Alliance, it's where the dancing Christmas trees are. I think we put that on the list in 2012. and this is before the pedestrian path throughout the city.
Right.
And to Mayor's point, I think it's more important that we have that now.
I don't get me wrong, I like that too, but just who knows? I mean, we didn't have baseball. We may not have Austin Riley. You know, we may have.
True. It's, you know, in that area, I would be very cautious of just those homes. And we, like you said, we don't do lights at first.
Yeah.
Or we, you know, we could sit down and discuss other places.
There may be somewhere else.
Like rural neighborhood parks or
Yeah.
sunrise, sunset.
I think
Wes,
it's a pretty
what would
good
it
idea,
cost
actually.
to put the surface on that track?
Like to redo it or one time.
Well, what kind of surface are you talking about putting on the track?
It would be a rubberized asphalt. North Point just redid theirs not too long ago.
So what does it cost to redo that when it gets worn out?
That you got to build it first, then let it wear down.
Was the price tag 1.7? Did that include lighting?
Yes, sir.
Do you
And
know
then
just
that was
ballpark with the lighting?
How minimal, like 300,
Okay.
and that was the LED that I could control from my phone.
Okay, so Alderman Wither, I appreciate that. That's a great idea. Yeah, I'd love to see
Yeah,
us.
I think it'd make good use of that field right there. That used to be my backyard.
So I got a question. Cherry Valley, if we get rid of, are we talking about scrapping the football program? Or?
That's not in this 4 years. That's
Okay.
just a proposal of trying to bring life back to Cherry Valley. I mean,
Got you.
I will be straight up with everybody. I'm very sentimental about Cherry Valley Park. I mean, I grew up at Cherry Valley Park. I'm very sentimental about it. I played flag football for 23 years there. I know you played a lot of years. I would love to see some life come back to Cherry Valley. It's just, but the thing about the youth football program, the things I mentioned, that's killed our football program. And Wes knows, I mean, for years, we did everything we could. We changed the dates that they played. We changed the age groups to match Hernando Olive Branch. We made all kinds of changes. We even sent, you know, our athletic director, Delwan Robinson, is a former NFL player. We sent him to elementary schools in his NFL jersey to sign autographs and promote football in Southaven. We've done all. It's a multifactorial issue again. That deals with the concussion scare. You know, when all that went out there, it started scaring parents. I can tell you that 10 to 12-year-old kids don't generate enough torque to injure the brain. I can tell you that. That's all overblown. But anyway, it's out there. People believe it, so it killed youth football. Fall baseball and soccer again. You have these coaches that, and it's a bad thing, but these coaches that tell kids, hey, you can't play on my spring roster in baseball if you don't play with me in the fall. By the way, that's horrific. That's terrible for the kids. But you have some coaches out there doing that. So then the kids said, hey, look, I want to play football, but I don't want to lose my spot on the roster in the spring. So then they quit football. So you start adding all that up. And we went from, I was coaching football at Cherry Valley with my oldest son back to like 2008. In the league in 2008, we had 6 to 8 teams for the two different age groups, and now we're lucky to have one team.
We have one team, and we travel to Olive Branch, Southaven, Horn Lake, Hernando to play those leagues. We play at Cherry Valley twice a year.
So Alderman Gallagher, that's just, you know, long term. What can we do at Cherry Valley to bring the life back? What I was thinking is, you know, you had all the adults that, or a lot of adults that played back in the day. They played at Cherry Valley. Maybe they would be interested in coming back and kind of a reunion type thing, having an adult softball league, or, you know, kind of keep that going. I thought that was just an idea, but anyway, that's long term.
I like it. You know, before it was baseball fields.
Yeah, it was all baseball.
Magnolia Bowl was played in the outfield, right?
That's right. The old Magnolia Bowl was played in the outfield.
Maybe somebody will build a Shakey's or a Scotty's right on 51 somewhere so that everybody can go after the games.
I'm all for it.
Food truck.
But this is our plan for us to put it together. So there's, you know, if you want to take something off the current, I truly believe that 14 million is probably going to end up being about 15.5 to 16 million.
There's your track.
Huh?
There's your track right
Right. So I'm just telling you, You know, I believe it's gonna be much more than that, but,
Be great.
so if y'all wanna kinda have that plan in the back of our mind, you know, if we have something extra, we could either, you know, go to the black vinyl fencing, or we could do the track and field, you know, if you wanna do that.
Vinyl fencing is really nice. It's
It enhances the
Yeah.
park
It's the-
tremendously.
it's
Man, you
that
talking about
basically
like the
net.
soft net style?
It's behind the
Yes.
backstop. Yeah, it's a net
Yeah.
instead of a bunch of metal rods and poles and heavy fencing.
And you know, what we have, again, is 22 years old. You know, that was just,
Yeah.
it was my understanding that in 1999, that the plan was to do vinyl fencing then, and they ran out of budget, so they just stayed with, you know, the less expensive. But if you go to Tupelo or Oxford, it jumps out at you. It enhances the look tremendously.
It does.
And those nets you can make them taller and they're safer and less fly balls getting out. You know, a lot taller than the ones we have now.
You talking about the side fences or all of it?
Yeah, the whole
Side,
backstop.
yeah.
Just being taller.
But this is what we, you know, viewed as the highest priorities. But again, if y'all want to flip it around, I mean, that's what we're talking about. In performing arts, again, I know that Alderman Kelly and Alderman Payne, we've talked a lot about that. I mean, you know, I would love to see us enhance our arts program here. You know, but from what I've learned about it, you almost got to make a decision what your goal is. Do you want to have something that's, you know, a small venue that could be used frequently by, you know, by schools and by youth programs, or are we looking at something like a mini Orpheum, you know, where we have big time shows and, you know, it becomes a tourism thing again. People are driving here to go to, you know, to go to shows. I would love to see like a mini Orpheum in Southaven. To me, that would be super cool. I would love that. But that, you know, maybe we, you know, we've experimented in the past with reusing existing facilities, you know, churches and stuff like that. You know,
Would it be worth looking into possibly having like a marketing firm do a study, a feasibility study on what would go well here?
Sure.
As far as funding, as far as the best location, as far as support. I found a couple online from other cities, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'd be interested in what the Southaven market with what we have around us. I have no idea who does that. I'm sure we've had people that we've done used in the past, but I think it'd be worth the little investment just to find out.
yeah, I think that would be smart.
I mean, I think it could kind of push us. Do we want to go big to a mini Orpheum, or do we just need to fit the needs of the community?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think-
and maybe if the answer is smaller needs, maybe we look at an existing facility.
Very
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah,
You know, because, you know, right now we've got basically 3 high schools in Southaven that could utilize a facility, whether it be for choir, for drama, for band orchestra performances, stuff like that, you know, at the high school level.
yeah.
And two, between the Southaven Arts Council and the DeSoto
Right.
Arts Council,
I mean, right now, all the choirs in all the high schools, they perform at churches
Mhm.
because there's not a facility large enough to hold the people that come in, the families, and everywhere else.
Yeah, I think we definitely continue studying that and finding a way. Would you help with that?
I
Would you help
certainly
guide
would.
us through that?
I'm sure we'll.
I think we might want to, I mean, if it's 10 years away, we're thinking about this, a lot can change in 10 years, so we might want to wait a little closer. You know, because I mean,
Well, and just again, to make sure everybody understands what's in the second box, long-term plan, there, I just plugged in those years. That could
Oh,
be
okay.
whatever you want it to be, but basically what I'm telling you is we don't have enough money to get to that yet. So like if we realize we have more money in the 4-year plan, then we can bring something from that box up to the top. So you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, that nothing's going to happen until 2031. I just put those numbers in there. If we, you know, if this board decided that they wanted to use another, you know, debt instrument to build something like that. You know, it's there, you know, in case you decide that you want to do it.
And like the mayor said, as far as the Performing Arts Center, it's going to take a larger funding mechanism,
Yeah.
larger than Penny for Your Parks, to pay for it. Now, Penny for Your Parks could maybe help facilitate some of the, you know, one-time needs within the facility, but it's going to need you're going to have bonds roll off and issue new bonds for that one.
I don't think we wait for a feasibility study. I think we do a feasibility study now.
I would be very interested.
There are other funding mechanisms besides just
Right.
traditional. The arts has always gathered lots of private funds.
But I'm excited that if y'all will notice that we've been able to really diversify our plan. Like we've been able to now we're starting to really touch some other things that we hadn't been able to touch in the past. I mean, you know, we're getting to things that have been on our list. You know, I know they've been on the list as long as I've been here, and so we finally gotten to them, and so that's fun. You know, that's nice for our citizens. We're going to be able to, you know, enhance it and start, you know, bringing some amenities that we've never had before.
And like you mentioned to begin, even though Snowden Grove Park, the investments that we've made, not just at Snowden but everywhere else, has benefited the city as a whole. It's benefited our business community. It's benefited our tax base. It's helped us overall with our being able to hire more police officers and give raises where we needed to. I mean, these were the revenue streams that have helped make that a reality.
Going back to the walking trail resurfacing, is that going to be asphalt or concrete? I know you.
Dan Cordell with Civil Link checked them both.
Yeah.
But the pricing of now with the inflation, there's not a whole lot of difference in the two, and concrete is going to be more durable.
Sure. Oh yeah. Oh no, it always is.
So that's doing 5-foot concrete.
Okay.
Is that correct, Dan?
All the sidewalk district might have
Yeah. But all the current walking trails that are asphalt are going to be changed to concrete, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So that'd give you 5-foot concrete trails throughout all the neighborhood parks, and then you got the one at Ross Point Farms and
Yeah,
Central
that'd be
Park
awesome.
that's a 10-foot,
Yeah.
10-foot trail. That will make a big time footprint. Putting 9 new pavilions and redoing all the trails, that's going to impact a lot of people. And then adding, like Plum Point Park, again with our analysis, when I went out there, it's got enough room. Not just saying that because that's in your ward, but
I'm surprised you didn't stop by the house.
huh?
You should have stopped by the house.
Well, you didn't invite me. But no,
You're always
the
invited.
park is nice. It's wide, it's flat, it's big. There's room for a nice walking trail. So that's why there. And then so many of them, a pavilion will enhance all of them too. So I'm really excited about that. And if I'm missing something, I don't know what else you do to a neighborhood park other than walking trails, pavilions, picnic tables, benches, playground equipment. What else do you do with a neighborhood park?
Something that would be beneficial over in Cherry Valley by the playground is if we could maybe use some beautification money or something to plant some trees over there, maybe to get some shade, because it's a lot of sun over there. I mean, there are some throughout the park, but there's none really over close by the area where the parents would sit. That'd be a nice addition to have something like that.
Yeah, that's something we can do day to day. So if you have some specific ideas on where you want that, just communicate that to Wes and I. We can look at that. So what we need to do is tonight we need to have some direction if we want to move forward with this, or if there's something that y'all want to make some changes to. If not, if you'd like the plan, we can move forward and go ahead and get the ball rolling. And like we said earlier, if we end up having more revenue than this, we could go down below and pull some of these projects below, add the track and field back to the project list, and then move some of these up if we have more revenue than expected. But obviously you don't want to go too high you want to make sure that you don't want to go too high, but you also don't want to be financially irresponsible and go too low too, because then that causes you to miss out on projects that you had the money to do. So I feel certain that that's a pretty solid, that it's 14 is conservative, but if I had to bet you tonight, I would say it's more like 15 to between 15 and 16. I think that's what it will be when you get all the other restaurants in place, and then you obviously got inflation. But I would say just play it safe and go with 14. I wouldn't recommend doing, planning more than that at this point.
This is a plan in motion. I mean, once we approve it tonight, we can modify it later, right? If we
Well, some of it, but I mean, you do have to go ahead if you're going to do some of these. The bid process takes a while.
right, I'm just saying, but some of the stuff you got further down the list, I mean, we can move it around and adjust it at next year or something like that if we want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we can do, but yeah, we would need to know from the board, the things in that top box. Do you have any problems with us doing that? And if you don't, we're going to move on, go for it. But if you have reservations about it, we do need to know that before we approve it, because we don't want to go, spend other money designing it or.
Well, I would like to explore putting a true, quarter mile or 400-meter track or whatever in versus the parking expansion for the volleyball. I mean,
Well, I don't know that
Well,
volleyball.
you
there's
gotta have
nowhere
it.
to park on the volleyball stuff.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
actually
they're parked
it's
all
almost
down
an
the street.
emergency. It's an emergency. That's an
Yeah,
emergency.
I mean,
approach.
in the grass and the
gravel
police
is a lot
station.
cheaper. I'd rather see us, put something in like a, true track for kids to practice on than necessarily, adding parking
Mayor,
for the arena.
What would be the harm if we chewed on this for 2 weeks?
There's no harm.
I like to chew on it for 2 weeks.
I mean, I like the fact that the arena is producing revenue and bringing in volleyball tournaments. I like
Oh,
that.
it's more than that. Trust me.
Mhm.
You are developing a bunch of volleyball players in Southaven.
Yeah.
A bunch. My daughter being one of them.
Yeah, it's and again, it's not. I mean, we're charged with a multi-pronged goal here. Our goal is to enhance the lives of our citizens.
Sure.
So it's not just about the
Yep.
money, but if you're going to do it smartly, you do things that produce revenue at the same time. Then it enables you to take that revenue and enhance the lives of other interests for your citizens, and that's what we've done.
That's why I didn't knock out the additional outdoor tennis courts, because I think that's a good thing. Because I think it would bring in some larger tournaments,
Oh, no doubt.
which is revenue producing.
When
but-
you get to 20 courts, it puts
Yeah.
you over
Sure.
a threshold
Yeah.
to have some tournaments
Oh, yeah.
that you can't have existing. now.
So I mean, I understand the whole revenue producing thing, but at the same time, you're enhancing, the residents that live here. I think having a track that's accessible is a good idea.
There's young ladies in our city that have never played volleyball.
Sure.
If we had not done what we did to the arena, they would have never played
My
volleyball.
dog.
And if we don't build a track, they may not ever run a 4x400 relay.
Yeah, no, I'm for the track too, but we have a limited amount of money.
What are you envisioning on this splash park?
Something very simple, where young kids like misting machines, things like that. Just little simple water
Like
features.
out at First Tennessee, something like that.
Something like that.
Real small, yeah.
Mhm.
Would it be open all the time or only during like baseball tournament stuff?
We hadn't gotten that far.
What are your thoughts?
Placement, where we're thinking about placing these, would allow for Monday through Sunday.
Okay.
But again, just to make sure I properly inform everybody, I respect what Alderman Jerome said, but I can tell you, the parking expansion at volleyball, really has to happen, or else you can't. I mean, we're having traffic nightmares over there now, so we're going to have to do something about that. So, are you saying don't do it, or not pave it? Are you saying just put gravel down? Did we put gravel down?
Yeah,
temporarily?
there's gravel behind
That
it.
price is the full price.
It's
When we
asphalt
quoted
right
this,
now.
It was $700 for rock, and then
Yeah.
that price to rock and asphalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expansion parking right now is asphalt. That wouldn't bother me. But there's a lot of room out there. I mean,
I've got a question on the dog park. When I last looked in the dog parks, and I don't know a whole lot about them, it seemed like most dog parks, there was like some infrastructure involved as far as licensing, like you had to get a card to make sure that the dog had their shots and this, that, and the other, and was either spayed or neutered. Or well, is this cost reflect?
No, we're not getting into all that. I mean,
if you
no.
Google like Tupelo Bark Park in Tupelo, it's literally
They just come and let their dogs go.
mulch
It's at your own
area.
risk.
Yeah.
If you want to bring your dog, it's
Okay.
There's a weigh station, a water fountain for them, and then fire hydrants and balance beams and tunnels and
Okay.
But yeah, like Alderman Flores stepped out. But no, we don't have to do anything tonight. But you know, we do need to get going. You know, because some of it, you know, it takes time again to get it going. But
If
it just
anything-
comes down to priorities. Again, I love the track and field idea. It's been on the plan. We took it off because we used the money for the trail through Central Park, but we can definitely add that back on there. But
I don't have a problem with waiting 2 weeks, but I don't see any reason why we can't go ahead and start working on the neighborhood, you know, the top
The 2023.
Top list.
the
yeah.
top couple, the 22, 23 stuff.
Yeah, the
Right.
23.
I
I'm
mean,
good
let's
with
go on
that.
and get these neighborhood parks started. If we need to do bids on that, let's.
Let's get it going.
You need to start drawing that tennis court up probably too.
Right. Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah.
22 to 25.
Do 22 and 23 until next week.
You're missing the pickleball courts if you do
You can play no pickleball.
Is pickleball going to be that big of a deal?
that. It is actually it is. It's a real
I
big
think
deal.
Apparently it is.
It's 2 years away.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is draw another line.
Right. Right.
well, let me ask you this, and again, I'm just trying to explain the day-to-day operations. It gets really difficult because if we're looking at doing a loan, you know, using a financial instrument to debt instrument to, you know, so we can go ahead and we're not, you know, piecemealing it together yearly. You don't want to do that. We really do need to know like what the plan is. So I would suggest let's, you know, don't do anything until we agree as a group on what we want to do. But I would ask you, don't do that to me. Don't tell me start with one. We'll let you know it. That's
Right,
you talk
right.
about slowing your that gets very difficult from a day-to-day operations thing. We need to know what the plan is for 4 years. So if there's something you don't like on there, or we need to, you know, continue for a few weeks talking about it, let's do that.
I think we need to stay focused on the next 4 years, and
Yeah.
I think that's what we chew on for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
we come back and take a vote next time.
But you get what I'm saying, like the suggestion that, hey, get started on the first two, but don't do that
Can't do that.
that won't work. I'll
Nope.
just tell you
Well,
that.
we got 2 weeks. Let's just do
Yeah.
that.
So did I hear you right? You're saying that, so we're going to take out take a loan out to finance
Yeah.
this first?
That's what we did in 18.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you don't, you get into like you can only do one at a time. You know, that's, you know, the smart thing to do is to leverage your money.
That's right.
You
It's
know.
a revenue bond.
Yeah. And then before we close it up, just almost like Alderman Jerome asked about the parking expansion. And again, forgive me, I've not explained to y'all what an emergency that is, but
just the weather on Saturday.
it's a nightmare. Yeah, we've got to fix that. The roofs, you know, at Snowden, you got roofs leaking.
And this is our jewel. Yeah.
The lighting, you could wait on the lighting. We can just patch that. You could do that. If you've not seen the soccer fields at night, go check those out. That's LED lighting. It's really gets your attention. It's really super nice. And again, it's just about, you know, to me, it's the first impression. The parking lots at Snowden and Greenbrook are in bad condition. You know, I think you ought to take care of what you got, you know. But
So just so I understand, so how much are we talking about? How big a loan are we talking about taking out to do everything we have on the whole plan?
yeah,
So
14. On
14?
The top
The top.
group.
yeah.
14.
We're talking about 14.
The second blue box means nothing. Okay.
Okay, so the long
what
term
we're
plan.
talking about is that if you see 2022 through 26 plan,
Right.
the first box, that's the amount of money that we know we're going to have. The stuff below there, we don't have money for that yet.
Okay, so
Unless-
would be 14 to 16, depending on if we add the track in, we're talking about.
Correct.
taking a loan out for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
So let's do that then. Again, this is just an introduction to it. We don't have to do anything tonight, but the only thing I would ask you, and y'all always do a tremendous job with this, is give us direction. You know, don't, because it's very difficult to operate our departments if we don't know what your wishes are. And, you know, we want to, and again, I commend this board. I hear stories of other boards. We don't do that. Y'all are always good about, hey, this is what we're going to do. Let's make a decision. Let's move forward. So that's all I would ask you to do is take your time, but when you give us a green light, give us a green light.
Can we agree, gentlemen, to give the mayor a decision
Absolutely.
next meeting?
Yep. Yes.
All right, thank you.
And if we need if y'all think we need a special meeting, we can do that. If y'all want to have another one to talk about it, but yeah. But again, this was to introduce you to this tonight. There was no required board action by any means.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we'll do that then. We will, if there's no other questions about anything, we continue talking about this, and then we'll put it back on the agenda, the next agenda, and ask for a board decision on that. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, thank y'all. We'll move on. Next on our agenda is a resolution for cost sharing for the county GIS mapping.
This item was previously approved by the board, but the AG, as part of approving the GIS mapping interlocal agreement with the county, is requiring that the resolution reflect all entities as part of the agreement, which would include all the cities and the county. So tonight is authorization to sign this resolution, which was previously approved in November of last year, but just need that authorization for him to re-sign this resolution that reflects all the entities that will be participating in the cost sharing agreement.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Jerome, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for adoption of a hazard mitigation plan.
This item was presented was tabled last meeting, so we'd advertise it around the city, and since that time it has been advertised, it's been on file with the clerk's office. So tonight, need authorization to approve the hazard mitigation plan. This is part of the FEMA project as well, which has also received comments and been approved by the FEMA portion of this plan as well. So tonight, just need authorization for this plan to be approved and authorization for the mayor to sign the resolution approving the plan.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a utilities department contract with Rockwell Automation.
Yeah, this contract with Rockwell Automation is to provide support and maintenance, installation of the city utility SCADA system. We've been under contract with them in the past. The recommendation is to continue with Rockwell Automation. The term is for 3 years at $5,028 per year. So authorization for Ray Humphrey, the Utilities Director, to sign this contract with Rockwell Automation.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores. Who made the second? Second by Alderman Kelly. Any discussion?
Either the mayor or Ray Humphrey to sign that contract. So either one.
Exactly as Nick stated.
Sorry, that was my fault.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for Freeport warehouse tax exemption for Milwaukee Electric Tool Corporation.
Yeah, this exemption will be for Freeport, which will authorize a tax exemption for those goods in transit by Milwaukee Tool. This has been recommended by the DeSoto Council and approved, my understanding, approved by the Board of Supervisors as well. So tonight, need authorization for the city approval and for the mayor to sign the resolution.
I will make that motion as well.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to approve travel to the Summer Mississippi Municipal League Conference and to appoint a voting delegate.
So, yeah, just as the mayor said, I don't know which one of you wants to be the voting delegate and alternate 1, alternate 2 for ML, but that's what's, I guess you can discuss among yourselves real quick and then also approve the travel as well.
I'll make the motion, but I'm just gonna say I won't be there this year, so.
I'll second it. I won't be there either.
What y'all need to volunteer?
Yes. To vote.
Well,
There you
you're
go.
not, then
Ain't
I don't
scared.
recommend either of these be the voting delegate.
Yeah.
I ain't scared. I'll do it.
You're one. Who's two?
You like going to class?
Hmm?
I'll be the.
I nominate Alderman Charlie Hoots.
That'd be better.
It'd be better.
There's 1, 2, 3 right there.
They've got it. They want a voting delegate, a first alternate, and a second alternate.
Oh, then
I'll be
Christian.
second alternate.
Okay, so is your motion that the Alderman Jerome is
Alderman
1,
Jelly is 1.
Hoots is 2, and
2.
Kelly's 3?
Exactly.
Oh,
In,
okay.
in reverse ward order.
And in your motion also, would you authorize travel?
Most certainly.
Okay.
Authorize
but you-
travel for the
okay,
board.
So let's let your motion, motion by Alderman Payne to do all that. And Alderman Flores, is that your second?
That's my second.
Awesome. Is there any other discussion?
This is the best meeting we've ever had.
Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for an ordinance to establish the times for the sale of alcohol. Y'all know that we've had some requests in the past in our entertainment district to adjust the sale of alcohol. We've had discussion about it, and then we asked our city attorney, Nick Manley, to go do some research, which he did. So and Nick can answer the detailed questions, but the bottom line is that we have the authority as a city to set the times both for beer, wine, and then other forms of alcohol. You can do it all in one, as opposed to doing a qualified resort status where you would give it to one section of the city and not to another. So if I'm understanding the wishes of this board, y'all felt like it would be better just to keep it consistent throughout the city, not give that to one certain area. So the most crisp and clean thing to do to mirror what the neighboring cities would do would be to just make it consistent for all alcohol sales from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m.
So moved.
So we have a motion by Alderman Flores.
Second.
Second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
There'll be 2 separate motions. The first one is the sale of alcohol, light wine, beer, light wine, and spirits to be set by the city from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. And that's to be our ordinance. The other resolution that's being approved will be authorization of liquor, native wines to be sold 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. That resolution will be then sent to the ABC for DOR for ABC approval. And once that's approved, then that will then be established citywide as well. So the alcohol ordinance won't take effect just based on the way the way the state law reads for ordinance to be 1 month for passage. So the 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. will go into effect for the light wine, spirits, and beer. The resolution for liquor and the other items will go into effect once approved by ABC in the Department of Revenue. So I don't know when that will be, but I'd imagine it would be somewhere in that same time frame, if not quicker. So there'll be 2 different resolutions, 2 different motions. You can do it under one motion, but it's 2 different resolutions.
Okay.
Understand.
Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
And again, the net result, appreciate the detail, but the net result is it keeps it the same for all. So we have a motion again by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for information technology surplus property.
This will just surplus the property according to 172525.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Jerome. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have a gentleman named Mr. Mark Strauss, that's a Republican candidate for United States Congress District 1, that's requested time to speak. So welcome to our meeting. Thank you for your patience tonight.
First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. My name's Mark Strauss. I'm on the Republican primary ticket for U.S. Congress here in the 1st District of Mississippi. You know, I'm out seeing people all the time. Actually, I've been meeting with thousands of people since I got on the ballot in March 1st. And I tell each of them I start with the fact that I'm self-funding my campaign. There's no reason why anybody cannot win a district without asking for money, and I just find that money is the root of all evil. You know what? I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking to go there and make change, and I'm starting to do that with the process. You know what? When you go out and ask for money, one, don't ask from the citizens. I mean, we've got inflation, we've got everything going on. They don't need to do that. So you get your money from corporate, and when you get your money from corporate, what do you end up with? You end up with people that vote for $40 billion packages to start wars. Or you end up with times like baby formula being shorted. Right now, you know, we've got women that can't find baby formula, but yet you've got warehouses full of it down on the Mexican border. Okay, Tucker Carlson reported that on Friday, and I was sending out posts all day today to women because guess what? Go to Amazon.ca, Canada, and you can have it delivered in 3 days. These are the kind of things that really bother me. But also then, real conservative values. When it comes to abortion, I believe life starts at conception, period, and there shouldn't be any question on that. When we go to our schools, all of the things that's going on in our schools right now nationwide, and I tell you, it's not as bad here in Mississippi, but I watch nationwide, and some of the things that I see are absolutely scary. Fact is, boys are boys, girls are girls. I'm tired of this transgender stuff. It all needs to come to an end. I want to go there and I want to set term limits. I want to make sure that, you know what, Congress and the Senate should have 2 4-year terms, same as the president. And speaking of Congress and the Senate, you know, when they go to Washington, they get sweetheart deals from lobbyists that want to give them a good apartment, a $400 apartment that ought to be $4,000 a month. Guess what? And Democrats and Republicans aren't going to like this, because even the people at the top in the Republican Party are not Trump fans. What I want to propose is the Donald J. Trump Federal Employees Residence Building, where you have 535 identical apartments where they go to live and work together with a common cafeteria and everything above. One of the things also that bothers me that's going on that I want to make a change on, and I hope that maybe City of Southaven's doing something about this, because you've got companies like BlackRock and Vanguard that are out buying up single-family homes at an alarming rate and paying 20 to 50% over asking prices. Your neighbor, Memphis, Tennessee, you know that's got one of the highest rental property rates in the country. It's hard. How is somebody that wants to have a starter home, how are they going to do that when they've got to compete with these companies? Because those are the houses that they're targeting. These are some of the things that need to change. You know, these are the things that I want to do and go to Washington. I've been out literally putting 1,000 miles a week on my car. I've been into thousands of businesses and met probably between 4,000 and 5,000 people, because I walk into a business, I talk to the employees. The first thing I do is ask for the manager, ask for the owner. You know, just the other day I was in a diesel mechanic shop, and I had 10 people around me, from the owner of the business to the secretary and all the mechanics. And believe me, people are waking up, and they're not happy about what's going on. So all I really want to ask you folks to do is to give me a fair shot. I know that there's a political machine in every state, and I'm not part of that political machine. I did a trial run up in Iowa in 2018. The Libertarian Party came to me and asked me to be their candidate because they knew I was going to try it out. So I spent $27,000 to learn the ropes. This time it's for real. Okay, I'm not playing games. If you go to my website and you see where I stand on all the issues, I think you'll find that I'm the most conservative player in the race. Not only that, you'll find I'm the most moral. You know, I am divorced. I never had children, but I do care for my older brother, who's basically a 68-year-old, 12-year-old, and he's an amputee and partially paralyzed. In 2003, when my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, is when he came to live with me. 8 months later, I found out my siblings took my mother off her meds, stole everything she owned, and was trying to put her into a home. She came to live with me then too, lived with me until 2008, where she died in my home. We were featured on the Democrat presidential debate, where I was asking the candidates, what are you going to do about Alzheimer's? And don't worry, I was also featured on the Republican debates that year as well, where actually they flew me there and had me in the front row. And I was supposed to ask a question of Mitt Romney, because I threw him off my property the year before. Instead, they had me address Ron Paul. But I've been watching what's going on in Washington for a long time. I spent 45 years in the lighting industry, and by the way, I'm glad you guys are paying attention with LED lighting. I actually designed, commissioned, and designed, sold, and commissioned the first LED sports lighting system in any college in America at the University of Southern California in 2012. It was a 3-year project. I traveled to Hong Kong to meet with the manufacturer. So if you ever have any questions about lighting, I'm actually still certified by the National Council on Qualified Lighting Professionals as a certified lighting engineer. But right now, my focus is on what's going on in America. We've got a lot of problems, so please visit my website, look at what I have to say, and understand that my intentions are right. I can't be bought. I don't bend on issues, and I can't be broken. So I want to thank you again for allowing me to come in and introduce myself. I'll be outside if anybody wants to. I'll be handing out cards. But like I said, the only thing I can do is ask you to see where I stand and see what I've done. My website is very comprehensive on my personal history, as well as my history in politics, which is literally just kind of being heard. Well, that's it.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you coming forward. Thank you so much for taking time to come tell us about yourself, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a good evening. Next on the agenda is a resolution to clean private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution granting authority to clean private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties that would like to speak?
I got one of the properties, is that what you're saying? I got one of the
Do you own one of the properties that are on this list?
I don't know. I got one on 1006 Great Oaks Drive. I can't read that from here.
There's a screen right on the other side of you too.
He does. He cut it yesterday, so we can take it off.
Okay. So which one, what's the address again?
1006 Great Oaks Drive.
What's the address of the property?
1006 Great Oaks Drive.
I don't see it on here.
It's on the second page.
It's on there. I'm looking at it.
Okay, so it's good. So when we make the motion, it will exclude that. Is there anyone else in the audience that has a financial interest in any of the properties on the list that would like to speak? Hearing or seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, I move to amend my motion to remove 1006 Great Oaks Drive from the list.
Thank you. And Alderman Gallagher seconds that amendment as well. If there's no other discussion, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 I look on that list and make sure I don't have another one up there because they've been writing me up real bad.
Austin, is there another? Do you know if there's another?
Look. And I look on the list.
Yeah, that's something that should have been done before we get here. Okay.
Hey, Austin, 5760 Garden Walk, should it still be on there? $5760 Garden Walk. Well, I know there was an issue with it and they got it taken care of. I didn't know if it.
If we haven't, if that got taken care of before we put it on this list, it'll still get condemned, but it just won't be on the cut list for tomorrow. So if it has been cut, it will.
Will they still get fined?
No.
Okay.
The only time they get fined is if we cut it.
Okay.
If it's already been cut, then it's not going to be on the list.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Next on our agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. Our first application is for a conditional use permit from Global Signal Acquisitions. There is an existing monopole cellular tower, which is directly behind the First Tennessee Bank, over where the construction for the Honda site is occurring right now. We granted a conditional use permit in 2010. During my tenure here, and before that, our conditional use permits are normally a 5-year stint. They don't like to provide an extra long one so we can make sure they come into compliance. This tower was purchased and owned by different entities throughout the years. We did send some notices out. The new ownership of it obviously wants to get it compliant, so it's just a formality at this point to get them compliant with the conditional use set forth in the ordinance for cellular towers. It was recommended by the Planning Commission unanimously to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation. I make a motion to approve item number 1 on the planning agenda as presented tonight.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion on item 1?
I need more coffee.
Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries.
Our second application is a conditional use permit for a full-service spa to be located at 3964 Goodman Road. This is going to be at Malone and Goodman in a multiple suite space that you see highlighted there in yellow. This was pending the full-service spa recommendation to add 2 per half-mile radius, so it is compliant with that radius rule. You do have Spa Bloom just south of there, but those are the only 2 in the vicinity. This is also very similar in nature to the Lux Spa by Gould's that we discussed and approved previously from this. It is compliant with the conditional use permit requirements set forth in the ordinance and was voted unanimously in favor of by the Planning Commission.
Is these nails still over there?
Is what?
These nails?
Yes, that's a nail salon, so they will not compete against each other in the role.
So where you go?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item number 2 on the planning agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our mayor's report. Want to update all of you with a couple of things. Y'all know that we have been discussing a rental property ordinance for some time. We've had meetings with all county officials, mayors, and planning directors and attorneys from all the other cities in DeSoto County and the county. We've all thrown ideas around and to try to come up with something that will address what is a nationwide problem. There's 2 things going on here. The first thing is actually what the gentleman spoke about earlier. You have an issue with large investors buying up large blocks of rental property all over the country, and it makes it difficult for the people that are wanting to own their home. And it's a serious problem, but it's a problem that if you think about it, it's very complicated for a city to change that. How in the world do you tell someone who they can sell their home to? And obviously we know it's detrimental. We're not the only city in America that knows it's a problem. But then again, put yourself in that situation. If you want to sell your house and one buyer is going to give you 20% more than the other, do you want your government telling you who you sell your house to? And so that's what the challenge is there. The second thing, and y'all heard me preach this over and over, and I'm going to keep preaching, it is a statistical fact, not everyone, but a statistical fact that non-owner occupied property has more maintenance issues. It has more street curb appeal problems. It has creates more crime. They're all related. And anyway, I'll debate that with anyone. Again, I know that to be factual. And so the purpose of a rental property ordinance wouldn't solve the first problem. You're not going to be able to tell people who they can sell their house to, but it could help us with the second one. And like we already have a property maintenance code, we have a nuisance property ordinance. So a rental property ordinance could come into play with helping us create a database, a registry for all the rental properties in our city where we can better inspect those to make sure that they are compliant with our other ordinances. Having a way to know who they are, where they are, does have some value. The other thing is we couldn't charge a business permit fee. It has to be consistent with what you would be using the money for. It can't be a tax. So we would have, if there is a business permit fee for a rental property owner, that money would be used to actually help this situation, where you would hire more code enforcement officers that would actually be doing inspections of these rental properties to make sure that they are not bringing the property values down in our city or increasing the rate of crime in our city. So I still say there is some value to a rental property ordinance. Now, again, if we did that, it would take more administration, to keep up with that, to manage that. We would obviously need more code enforcement officers. We would use the revenue that is created by the permit fee to pay for those code enforcement officers and administrative staff. So it just comes down to, do we want to be one of the first ones that does this? Just being real honest with everyone, I have mixed feelings about it. I know that rental property is a problem in our city, but I just kind of wanted to update y'all. Just want to restart that conversation, and just kind of hear from y'all. Do you feel like this is something we should do? In our meetings before, we've had ideas as drastic as almost setting up a housing department where you take the revenue, you go help fix the houses. I think that would be horrendous for a city. We don't want to touch that. If we do it, my recommendation, and we have a proposed ordinance that Nick Manley has written, would be real simple. You charge a business permit fee, because a rental house with a business permit fee, and then you create a registry. They pay the business permit. Then the rental properties, you can take inventory of the rental properties that are in your city. And again, like I said, you use that money to hire more code enforcement officers. They can inspect the properties, make sure we don't have crime or maintenance issues there.
Mayor, is there anything we can do, like require them to have a double driveway? Part of the problem is with rental houses is a lot of times they may have 4 or 5 drivers living in the house. I mean, anyway, since we're treating it like a business now, can we require them to have double driveways?
We already have an ordinance now where you can't park on, has to be a permanent. There's already an ordinance in place for that. We just need to do a better job enforcing it. So
Can I say something?
we really don't. We really, and just in all respect, we have to keep the business of the city in an orderly fashion to move on.
I was just thinking, like, if we required a double driveway, then that way they would have enough room for at least 4 cars parked out of the streets.
Yeah. I think that if you have more people where you have more cars there, the current ordinance now has to be parked on a solid surface. So we can require that now if they have more vehicles like that. Now, I don't know how you say limit the amount of people that can live in a house.
Well, I'm not saying that. I was just thinking that I know that in my neighborhood there's a lot of just single driveways on rental houses.
Where are the other cars parked?
Well, they park on the street.
On the street?
Yeah, so I mean, if we required them to, all rental properties, to have a double driveway, then at least you'd have a better chance of getting more off the streets.
Yeah.
And parking the driveways.
You could put bike lanes through your neighborhood and require them to get off the streets.
We can look into that.
What were the what was the temperature of the other cities?
Everybody is. Well, I don't want to speak for somebody else. I can tell you the majority of the people believe that it's time to do something about it. They we were represented by Horn Lake, had representation from Horn Lake, Olive Branch, Southaven, Hernando.
So you think if we were the first ones to do it, that we would see a domino effect of other cities?
Well, actually, in the meetings we had, that was the purpose of having the joint meetings. We felt like there was some value in all the cities doing the same thing.
I agree.
That way it's
agree
consistent
100%.
throughout the county. But I can tell you that everyone recognizes the problem. It is a problem in our country and in our cities.
Well, without a doubt. Not that social media is a barometer for the hot events, but it is definitely picking up steam. People are realizing and understanding and are visibly, upset over the fact of not only the fact that rental properties, help deteriorate property values in the city, but also that, new home buyers can't afford a house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They can't afford the rent. and some of the rent that they're asking for some of these houses. It's insane. So yeah, people, it's an issue. And I don't know that. I mean, what kind of a fee?
It's mainly
registration fee were you talking about?
What's been talked about? It was proposed $200 a year by another city, and then
for each house.
Yes, and then a limit, like with apartment complexes, you would put a limit on that.
So it's kind of like a business license almost.
That's what it is.
Yeah, well, they can't get. The Supreme Court had an opinion a couple months ago that rentals aren't businesses, but they are. There would be a cost associated with the rental property ordinance, as the mayor mentioned, that we would have oversight. That there would be, for creating a registry to know where these are located based on the welfare of the city, we would want to have a fee based on the administrative work that goes into that. So that's what the fees the mayor's point would be going to. Not necessarily as a business, because the Supreme Court said they're not a business. Now we can argue whether or not that's obviously there's different points of view on that among a lot of people. All that being said, I think in the ordinance that we are batting around and reviewing, we would have it as a fee would be then implemented for the oversight of the cost associated that the city has to review these properties to possibly create not necessarily a registry, but an identification where they are, because it is in the general welfare of the city to know that that information based on the statistics the mayor was citing earlier. So that's what the permit, I mean not the permit, but the registration would be.
But to answer your detail, to be more specific, what's been discussed is either $200 or $100 a year.
I don't think it's enough. I think we should do more.
I'm
extremely aggressive on this. I think this is the number one issue facing our city and its future. So I'm ready to.
I agree, but we can only do what legally we could get be allowed to do.
What Nick is telling us is that you can't just throw a fee out. You got to be able to show that money is used to enforce the ordinance, or to manage the ordinance. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because it becomes a
$200 for every rental house a year. That may be a huge windfall.
No, I mean, you want to know what the number is?
What is it?
Well,
there's the estimated number that.
And I didn't bring all my stuff, but the estimation is hang on just a second.
My question to the board is, if we don't do something now, it's only going to get worse.
I can't tell you the number of people I've talked to that have put bids on houses to lose them to these rental companies.
But that's why I'm telling you, your rental property ordinance is still not going to stop that.
I understand that, but if we do this, it may. It's going to help us identify.
Right. The number estimated 30 to 35% of the homes in Southaven are rentals. You got about 18,000 single-family dwellings, so that puts you at $100 fee, $630,000 a year in revenue, 1.260 if it was a $200. So you would, you could easily
bring in over $1 million.
Well, you'd have to have more code enforcement officers,
right?
And you're going to have some admin staff. There's going to be some work involved in managing it.
Sure.
So we would have to hire more people. So that money would be used for that.
But what would they do? So you bring in the staff. They would keep a database of all the rentals. Would they be responsible for? Is there any kind of a yearly, or I guess maybe every time a new tenant comes in, that you would have to inspect the house to make sure that, there are there's landlord laws that you have to keep respectable living spaces.
Right.
We hear about them in, cities like Memphis and stuff. Can something like that not fit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you would have to have admin staff. You would have to have additions in the city clerk's office, because to manage, 6,000 rental properties, there's been a lot of work there. So you'd have to hire those people.
And they would kind of uphold slumlord laws, I guess, in a way.
Well, they wouldn't do it, but then you'd have code enforcement officers that could do inspections.
Right.
That would, and they could set up a schedule to do annual inspections, not interior inspections, exterior inspections. But you could do that, and no, the money would definitely be used for the proper purpose, because you'd have to have the personnel to manage it.
Well, couldn't we put that plan together, how much personnel we would need, and having a separate department, and show that to the state, say this is why we would need to charge more than $200?
Yes.
That's what I would do.
I mean, I can do that right now.
I mean, that's what I would
right
do.
now. I can write that on a piece of paper for you right
I
now.
mean, you know, you want to do $1.2 million. If you have $200, let's just go for $500, and you know, and go.
I mean, there does come a limit on, you know, to properly justify it, you know.
I think a proper department is going to run about $3 million.
What'd you say?
I think a proper department to take care of the rentals in this city is going to be about $3 million in cost a year.
I don't know that we'd need that much, but I would definitely say it's in the 7 figures. Yeah. Yeah. But it's, again, like y'all are talking about, it's a problem. Again, the first prong is not something that we're going to be able to fix, but it does let you know where they are. You know, to have a registry does have some value. You know, and again, to clearly answer your question, Alderman Payne. Not to speak for the other cities, but I can tell you that the overwhelming majority think that we need to do something.
Yeah. So in this ordinance, can we address create some rules of things that they have to have for it to be a rental property and that kind of stuff, as far as like I mentioned, the driveways or something like that, or things like that? Can we have anything added to it, or is it just kind of it's just going to be a registration kind of thing only?
Help me understand your question more. What specifically are you saying?
I'm you know, off the top of my head, you kind of not thinking, you know, but I mean, like one thing would be like requiring them to have it like a double driveway to keep, you know, to keep their residents.
And I'll let the
parking on
attorney.
streets.
But from what I would say is you have to just be able to justify that. Like, why are you requiring that?
Yeah. We're
Like
doing
you
that,
could.
you know.
That makes sense if you're, you know, if you have 8 adults living there and they're parking on the street. That makes, to me, doesn't that make sense to you, Nick? To require some other parking, but what else? I mean, you'd have to justify that. You can't try to punish a rental property.
Right, or what you were saying, like maintaining the property, and you know, they you know, they're.
Well, we already
it has
have
to be painted, the landscaping, it has to be,
right.
Have certain landscaping at, you know, at the places. It can't just be, you know, things going crazy and neglected.
Well, you don't want to be discriminatory, but what you would do, you would use this ordinance in conjunction with your property maintenance code. So like when you know where your rental properties are and you hire the staff to do the inspections, then you would use your property maintenance code, which clearly spells all that out already. That already has that in place, you know, when a property is poorly maintained, what they would have to do. So then you would write citations based on violations of property maintenance code.
Would it say something like, I mean, I know we have a lot of out-of-town owners of these rental properties.
You can't get into discriminating against where the owner lives.
So you can't, but I mean, we can't say, like, if they're in violation, they have to, you know, the owner has to appear in court and that kind of stuff, you know, to address.
Well,
this.
we have the nuisance property ordinance that is for repeat offenders. So we have those two things, and we talked about all that when we did the nuisance property ordinance, Nick. But there's limits to what you can do. You can't punish somebody because of where they live, that they don't live in the city or out of state.
Yeah, we can get them here, like to your point, if they violated the ordinance, we can make them come to court. To the extent we can, but if they're out of town in California, we can't, like, for example, we can't get them served. And that's become the issue since 2014 or 15, we passed the property maintenance code. Now, we can hold them in contempt, and if they ever come to Mississippi, we can then issue a ticket to them. But the problem is a lot of times it's corporations, and who's a corporation, but so that becomes still the issue of, that's the issue nationwide, is getting them in the court, but how do you get them in the court, their corporation out of town, and you can't get a misdemeanor warrant.
Can't we just
across
charge
state lines.
the
Would that registration be
Go into
annual?
the house and look at the electrical.
So if they were held in
Make sure.
contempt,
You could revoke their certificate of occupancy.
will that not renew their registration, correct?
Certainly.
Try, I mean, not renew the registration. I mean, I think that, you know, those are items that there's
Seems
penalties
like
in
a,
the draft ordinance that we.
I mean, you wanna make sure that the plugs are
They don't
okay.
pay or anything,
It's
basically.
seems like you're
you
helping the consumer.
The administrative fine, and then you
Hmm?
can vote the certificate of occupancy. The issue becomes then of
then.
you then have to
Well,
dig
I'm
down
just saying I agree
mandate
with
the
500.
tenant. And so the other thing that's out there is say, you know,
Gotta make it
you're
hurt.
renting the house, and
Mhm.
your owner's not paying it, the city then want to evict you, the tenant, who has nothing at all to do with this.
Yeah.
That's the other, that becomes the other issue. I'm not saying that's something we don't want to look into, I'm just saying that becomes, we then go
Guys,
say,
we're
okay,
gonna have to do
you know,
something aggressive.
single mom and maybe, you know,
Yeah.
didn't pay, all right, and that
Yeah.
becomes the issue.
It's a complicated issue. I mean, but you know, but we've been round and round and you know, and explored so many avenues. But the one that we have that Nick has written is simple. It's basically accomplishes two goals: creates a registry and a permit fee. That way, you use that money to do a better job of doing inspecting the
Enforcing the
properties.
rules we already
Yeah,
have.
yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to, again, start the conversation again. It's been a while since we talked about it. It is a national problem. It's something that affects our city. But be thinking about that, and we'll bring that, you know, put that on some future agendas as well. Two quick things. Medline is having a ribbon cutting Thursday at 2 o'clock. This, as y'all know, is a tremendous investment in our city. It was a $46 million investment. 1.2 million square feet. Medline is a highly respected global company that provides medical supplies throughout the southeastern part of the United States from this facility now. So it's a big deal for Southaven. But anyway, it's officially going to be you know, opened as of this Thursday. And then we are having a law enforcement appreciation event at the Snowden House on Thursday morning also at 10 a.m. That'll be a special thing for our city too. And that's all I have. Are there any questions directly for me? Okay, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is the personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the personnel docket as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update, Mr. Nick Manley.
Just got a couple quick items. First item that came up yesterday, or came up in a couple days ago, was just authorization for the court department to accept a donation in the amount of $4,905.58 from Deter. It's for visualization that's going to be used in the court department for court proceedings.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Next is a contract that got finalized yesterday. It's with Schindler Plus. It's for the maintenance and the services for the elevator at the Snowden Bridge. It won't go into effect until April 18th of 2023 because it's currently under warranty. But they explained that if we go ahead and get under contract with them now, there will be we'll be locked in at the prices now as opposed to a year from now. It ends up being $8,640 per year. It's a monthly inspection, monthly maintenance. They're the only people who basically can service this elevator. So we need authorization, and then we made a couple of changes to the contract, which they've agreed to. So authorization for Bradley Wallace to sign the contract with Schindler Plus is needed tonight.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And then the last thing is the authorization for Michael Norris to sign contracts with Comcast. These all came up yesterday as well. It's for providing data and internet, or IT phone and internet service at the Parks building. And then once we purchase the building for the utilities department for that building as well, it's going to be a cost neutral as far as the setup goes. But Comcast requires it to be in 2 locations to set everything up. So the first one will be done in the Parks, in the Parks main office, and that's going to, and also for Forever Young, we're switching from CenturyLink to Comcast based on the needs there. And then also once the utilities purchased, the building is purchased, that will be also outfitted with Comcast as well. It's just a couple of forms for Michael to sign, and it'll have the monthly fees from Comcast as opposed to CenturyLink. So just need authorization in the minutes for him to set that up with Comcast and sign the service agreements that need to be signed with Comcast.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on our agenda is our utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill leak adjustment docket as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Next on the agenda are two claims dockets.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve claims docket number 1 in the amount of $3,574,587.48, including demand checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay. That motion carries. Is there a motion to approve docket 2?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 2 in the amount of $17,036.36.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Jerome.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is claims and litigation against the Southaven Police Department, Getwell Road widening, land acquisition, economic development in the city, general litigation, potential general litigation against the city, and the purchase of property by our utilities department. Now, is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Jerome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.